let's get into this one right here. The Pacers pull away and beat OKC in the fourth quarter with 7 minutes to go. The Pacers never look back and defeat OKC Thunder. Okay, let's talk about a few things right here. For one, I never said I wasn't going to cover the NBA Finals again this year. I said I was not going to watch the NBA Finals unless it was a Game 7. And you guys know why I said this. It was because the way they were playing the games, too many games in between for me to care. The NBA ruined, you know what I'm saying, the aggressiveness that I should have to want to watch the game. You know, nobody's even been talking about this matchup at all in between games or whatever like that. That's how, I wouldn't say that's how bad the matchup is, but when you don't have at least, I don't know, to me, SGA is just now making a name for himself. You know, I'm not going to say nobody knows who he is. That would be stupid to say that. But you know what I'm saying? Him winning his first MVP, you really are, to me, putting yourself up there as all-time great when you get in that MVP, stratosphere. But, you know, the matchup to me isn't that great for them to be taking that many days off. You know, you didn't come to the NBA Finals to be on vacation. Nevertheless, we already talked about this. Second of all, so let's cover it. Yeah, if it's an elimination game, I might have to watch it too. Say if it's, you know, the Pacers are going to eliminate OKC before 7, or OKC is going to eliminate, you know, the Pacers before 7. Yeah, of course I might have to watch it. You know what I'm saying? But if it's not an elimination game, I'm not watching it. The NBA messed it up for me. So number 2, Skap. Wow, this guy is, you know, I don't really know what to say about this guy. I've done said it all. I'm the only one that has the balls in her scrotum to even, you know, really clap back at this guy per se on a high level. I know some people have clapped back on this guy, but I mean, this guy continues to eat crow. Continues. I've never seen nothing like it in my life. I've never seen anything like it in my life as far as a so-called sports analyst being wrong. Maybe we can go to Nick Wright and, you know, put Nick Wright in the equation or something like that. But man, this Skap guy is looking like an idiot. If you say OKC loses, because I done heard this, I already heard him on the channel when the Pacers pulled out the first game. This guy was on there literally begging and crying and pleading and don't understand how OKC does this and they always do this and they, you know, play down to their opponents and blah, 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 blah. So if the Pacers are able to pull this off, I would unsubscribe to Skap. I really would, because this guy had been backpedaling and dancing all damn playoffs about his picks. First he said that the Denver Nuggets had no chance to come out of that series with the Rockets. Oh, not the Rockets. Oh my goodness. Oh, who is that team? I'm thinking of James Harden's Rockets. Oh my God. The Clippers had no chance. He put up all these box numbers, plus, minus. They had the greatest defense behind OKC. That's what the Clippers had. Or some crazy stuff like that. As far as like box this and, you know what I'm saying, plus all this stuff, he said that these top 3 players on the Clippers team was just, nobody could get over that hump. Nobody could beat this team. And then so Denver Nuggets couldn't do it. Denver Nuggets couldn't do it. And the Denver Nuggets actually made them look like a fool at times in that series. So Denver pulled that out against the Clippers. Went on to steal game 1 against OKC. But guess what? They end up going to, remember, I don't even think he had them going to 7 games against the Clippers. I don't know what he had them going against the OKC Thunder, but I don't think it was probably like 4-1 or something. You know, remember he was saying this is the greatest juggernaut of all time. The greatest team of all time. Not some of those Celtics teams in the 60s. Not one of those 2000 Lakers teams. Not none of those 6 championship win Bulls teams, not some of those 80s Lakers teams. Huh? What? Huh? What? Not the Lakers or the Celtics 80s, right? They were even better than the Spurs dynasty in the 2000s, right? Cap attack. And you know I'm going to put his face on the front of this video. I'm going to put his face on the front of this video. Because as of now, this number 4 seed, Indiana Pacers, should not even be contending at all with OKC. Yeah, it's pretty sad, man. This guy sold his integrity for one damn player. Skap Attack sold his integrity, his honesty, all that stuff for one player. And let me tell you what, these guys out here will sell their soul for money. They that's what Skap has did. He had, and the thing about it, I don't see why he did that, because Joker is just what he is. Joker is a great player. Joker is an all-time great player. Nobody can deny that. You know, we don't like to compare errors. We don't like to do that. But when these guys like this, when they start capping and start lying, you know what I'm saying? Much respect to Uncut Hoops. You know, I like his work. But at the same time, this was the same guy that was saying that, you know, the college Joker, I can't even say the guy's name. Joker was on the same level as Michael Jordan a couple years ago when Joker was putting up those stats in the playoffs, right? When he led the league in points and, you know, assists and rebounds. And what it highlights is that we talk about this soft week era all the time, right? Positional players, you know, just players in general and how the game's played and stuff like that. And it just, when a guy can literally do that, the entire playoffs, can lead the league in lead the playoffs in assists, rebounds, and points. That's wow. That's very telling of how weak the NBA really is. And you don't really want one guy leading the league, or I keep saying the league, leading the playoffs in everything. You don't want that. You don't want. I don't even think Wilt Chamberlain ever led the playoffs in rebounds and points. I don't think so. Not in one playoff run. I would have to go back and look at it. But nevertheless, we know he didn't lead it in points, rebounds, and assists. That's just your competition is trash. I'm trying to tell you, your competition has to be trash that year in the playoffs. I'm trying to tell you. Nevertheless, you know, we're not Joker bashers, and he did what he did. That's all-time great. You know, you can't take nothing away from him. If the competition is just trash, it's just trash. We know a lot of people be like, oh man, Jordan didn't play no competition in the East in the 90s. And okay, well, who did he play in the West? He beat the West though. It ain't like, see, Jordan, I wouldn't say it's stain, but they would have been looking at him kind of crazy if he would have been winning all those 60-win seasons in the 90s. And then going to the finals and maybe lost, you know, 2, maybe 3, something like that. And this is what their claim would have been. Oh, look at that East, man. That East was weak, man. All the competition was in the West. That's why he kept getting beat. You know what I'm saying? That's why he kept getting beat. But that wasn't the case. He kept getting beat. I mean, he kept winning because he's Michael Jordan. He's Michael Jordan. He didn't let his peers beat him. He didn't let his peers beat him, and he didn't let, you know, the younger players beat him. That's where he was. He didn't do that. So, yeah, Scap, man, you got to feel sorry for this guy. Could you imagine what this guy said on Scap After Dark? Yeah, you feeling dark right about now. Yes, sir. Dark is the word. Dark. But yeah, man, these guys will sell their souls for money, man. That's where Scap has went, man. This guy has went ultra, you know, super soul seller for money, man. This guy, you know, you always hear him at the end of his videos begging and pleading. It might be at the beginning. I forget what it is. I really don't watch him like that anymore. Because it's more the same capping with all these numbers and all this stuff. Now, if I told you, well, let me finish. With all these numbers that don't even mean anything, folks. Half the time, they don't even mean nothing. And we can see it right now. So he comes on, he's probably capping it up, saying a whole bunch of stuff, and, you know, of course he's going to use this against SGA. Oh, man, the guy told you wasn't no MVP winner. He has yet to explain why Joker didn't show up for Game 7. He didn't show up for Game 7 against OKC. In the elimination game last year against Minnesota, he didn't show up. He's yet to explain why this guy didn't show up 2 different times in elimination games. He's yet to tell us, folks. He's quick to tell us how great the other team was quick to tell us how great Minnesota was versus Denver this year. As Denver, as the playoffs were going and they were beating the crap out of the Lakers, they were quick, and they beat it up. We all know now. I mean, I do with any common sense. LeBron James ain't trying to see no NBA Finals again, right? He could do more, make more money on podcasting and get more attention, not in the NBA Finals, than those in the NBA Finals. So he's not trying to go to the NBA Finals again and get another L, right? He can get on his Mind on the Money podcast and do what he got to do there, right? Who needs the NBA Finals? That sucks. That's what LeBron is saying. Who cares about the NBA Finals? Please. He's not trying to lose in the NBA Finals. That's too much pressure. So, and as Minnesota was beating a depleted, that was 90% of their talent with Steph Curry, Scott was still telling us how great Minnesota was. How great Minnesota was compared to Denver. That's funny. So when OKC met the Timberwolves, spanked them 4-1. Was it 4-1, right? Spanked them 4-1. And guess what? Spanked them real bad. Didn't spank them the way that, when they played Denver. No, Denver stood in there and gave them that smoke. Denver took them to a Game 7. So we'll never hear about that, folks. All we'll start hearing is a bunch of numbers. So if I looked at the box score this morning, right? And I did. Because I told you I'm not going to watch the game, this series, unless it's an elimination game or Game 7, whatever. So I woke up and I looked at the box score and I'm like, well, what the hell happened? What the hell happened? Because I'm looking at the starting 5 for the Pacers and the starting 5 for OKC, and I really don't see no difference right here. I really don't see no difference. Well, I guess the difference was the bench. The difference was the bench. OKC didn't get nothing from the bench. And I know this is kind of tough for me to say this, but I'm putting Hartenstein in the start 5. I just am. And I'm going to let the other 3 guys, 4 guys, they should be able to put up some offense. I'm putting Hartenstein back in that because it says that Hartenstein didn't even start. He came off the bench. Now, I know you want to get Chet Holmgren a rest, but I think you can rotate them out and get them a rest. Indiana, you got Miles Turner out there. You got Siakam out there. I think Siakam is a power forward. Oh, that's crazy even think. Oh, my God. And Miles Turner is the center. That's scary to think, too. But I don't know. I would keep him out there because Chet Holmgren, he's not gonna, play even though he's 7 foot, he's not gonna play traditional, center, even though nobody is in this era, but he's gonna keep stretching. He's not gonna be under the boards. I gotta get Hartenstein back in that game and get him in the paint and just a big body to throw around down up in there because Chet Holmgren, he's just gonna be, you know what I'm saying? He's just gonna be all over the court, doing his thing and stuff like that. He's not gonna be. He's just going to be floating around. So, it's not going to hurt me to have 2 7-footers out there because Chet Holmgren, he's going to be all over the place. He's not only going to be in the middle. But I don't know, man. That was the tell of the game. We do know with 7 minutes to go, it was basically over. As far as, the Indiana Pacers just put the pedal to the metal. They played great defense. Now, I ain't going to lie. Somebody in my house did have the game on. And I did see some of the second quarter here and there. It looked like they were going back and forth. That's about it. And then I went to bed. But I'm not going to watch the game. I'm not. I have a lot of stuff going on right now in my life. And I just don't see. To me, I was going to watch the whole thing. I was going to watch every single game. Okay? Even though it's hard for me to stay up because I got to go to work in the morning. But I was going to watch every single game. But in my mind, too, I thought, man, I'm going to end up falling asleep on most of these games because OKC is going to take care of business. They're going to blow this out. They're going to control tempo, whatever. There's no reason for them not to. Not to. Now, let me say this real quick before I got to get off of here. If OKC loses If OKC loses this game, this will be the biggest upset in NBA history. I think everybody knows that by now, right? This will be the biggest upset in NBA history. No doubt about it. And if they lose this, I would unsubscribe to Skap's channel, because this guy has been lying, literally lying. Now, I'm not going to try to say everybody's going to be right on their picks. No, nothing like that. This is the NBA. The NBA is funny business. We all know that. But for this guy to be committed to what he's saying, trying to make fools out of everybody in this quest to defend Joker, I would unsubscribe to this guy's channel. I would. And the first thing he's going to do, well, he probably already did it last night. He's probably going to make a video this morning, because that's what he does. He sits up on Scap after dark and he literally lies. This guy just lies, right? He lies. He lies behind numbers. That's what this guy does. I don't need numbers. Let's talk reality. That's why none of these guys could never debate me, because I would talk reality. All they have is numbers to talk. We're going to talk about reality. Yes, we can talk about numbers, but this is why he would go against Gilbert. This is why this guy would literally tell Gilbert Arenas to bend over so he can lick his butt crack, right? This guy is so money hungry that he will go debate a known liar. And even though he won the debate, Gilbert Arenas, well, I would say he won ultimately. Yes, he won with common sense, yes, but he didn't win against Gilbert Arenas fans, because Gilbert Arenas held his own with lies. See, Gilbert Arenas will get you on some points and have you just like, kind of like, mind blown, like, oh, what do I say against that lie? You know what I'm saying? And sometimes it don't even be a lie. It just be something that don't have to do with the whole debate that throws you off. Anyway, we know how Gilbert Arenas does it. Gilbert Arenas didn't lose that debate, right? He didn't win it, but he didn't lose it against Skap. But Skap wanted to debate a liar so he can get views, so he can get subs, so he can get noticed more in the YouTube stratosphere, because this guy is all about money, right? He can't believe he doesn't have 100,000 subs like Dreamers Pro. Well, bro, you got to start lying. You got to start lying to get them subs, right? Or you got to work for ESPN, Fox, Disney, like Dreamers Pro. Or you got to start lying like most of these dudes. Now we see Skap lying. Now we see this guy lying, and that's the only way that these guys can make. Look, he's on there with Jason Whitlock. Jason Whitlock is one of the biggest soul sellers you can find, and one of the biggest flip-floppers. Yes, he does good work sometimes, but he's a big flip-flopper. Nevertheless, I got to get off of here. But yeah, this is what Skap is going to use. Probably last night, probably this morning, all these crazy numbers, and he's going to use, well, I don't know what numbers he can really use at this point, but he's going to be using that MVP thing. That's what he's going to be. Oh, I told you. But what does MVP got to do with playoffs? MVP, this dude he didn't come through. He didn't come through in that game 7. But now he's trying to find a way to explain how the Pacers are up 2-1 with a chance to go up 3-1 in the next game at home. He's going to find a way to put that on SGA. SGA can't score 35 every game. This is the NBA. This is the playoffs. You can't score 30 points every damn game. It don't work like that, folks. You can't. I'm not trying to say SGA needs to be carried by his team, but the man can't score 30 or more every damn game. I think he shot 9 for 20. That's not bad. It's almost 50%. What do you want from the man? Now, did he come through down the stretch? No, not that much. But they just played good defense. And they played better offense. The Pacers did. So, let me get off of here, man. Y'all tell me what Skap is capping about. This guy's looking like an idiot. They better hope OKC don't lose. This will be the biggest, the biggest upset of all time. It'll be the biggest, in the NBA. You can measure this one in different sports too, but this will be the biggest upset of all time. The biggest upset of all time. And this will be one of the greatest runs of all time when you look at who the Pacers beat. One of the greatest runs of all time, if not it's hard for me to gauge with these players, but if we just go by, seeding and stuff like that, and the guys that, it'll be a great, I'd say top 3, but this will be the biggest upset in the finals of all time.